welcome to another episode of Who Let the Moms Out. Nice, nice. Today we're going to talk about the village. The village, as in the village, what you thought the village was going to be, whether you have a village, what you think it should be like now, what it looks like in your life, what you've been grateful for. Because, like, the thing is, like, we hear that thrown around so many times, like, right? Like, oh, like, you have a village, it takes a village, and then everybody wants you to have kids so they can, oh my God, yeah, have kids. Oh my God, yeah, you have, oh, hurry up. When are the kids coming? And then you have the kids and the village just fleets, right? And the village is there like once a year.
Yeah.
And only after a certain age and all these parameters. And it's like, well, village.
Hello, where are you? Yeah. That is also like, I don't know, like you feel like before motherhood, there's always like, I don't know like what you expected and like as before becoming mom. Like I expected a lot more. I don't know, like you always expect people to be more involved or wanting to help. Obviously they don't have to, but like you just kind of, because people pressure you to have those kids so much, you're like, oh, okay, I have a lot of people that, want to be here. And then I haven't even heard from them since. So it's crazy. It's crazy how that changes. So I'm going to start with my question. So
Yes.
what was the village for you before and what is the village to you now? Like what is the biggest difference between what you thought it would be and what it actually is?
Well, like, so I grew up in Cuba. So I grew up with like all my family together, right? We were all living in one house. And I think to me that was obviously super annoying, but that's the picture that I had. And so I imagined raising my kids with a lot more family around. And that's a personal choice as well. Like, obviously, I'm the one that's all my family's in Miami. I could easily have my family all around, but I'm the one that's like, there are other things that come into, it's everything with parenting. I feel like it's at a scale, right? It's all the decisions of what weighs more. And so for us, like this lifestyle weighs more at the moment. But I do think about that often, like how different would it be if I had that village? Because I think I would have a lot of involvement from, let's say, my mom at least with my children if I was closer to her, But then there's also like, the other family members that are always like, oh my God, it really is closer. And then you go visit and you don't even see them, and it's like, dude, I told you a month before I came. And then, so I don't know. I think for me, what I've come to terms with is that the village, and the same thing for friends that were really, really close friends before you had kids, and then you had kids, and it's like, and it's not even a bad thing. It's they also had kids, and so your universe is just break into smaller pieces, and your attention needs to be more focused on some, and especially then, if you travel like I do, then it's just almost near impossible to keep those connections. And I think that to answer the second part of the question, like what it looks like now, I feel like the village for me looks more, rather than a village is always there, it looks more like pockets of village. Like we travel around the world and we just spend more time now with you, and then we go and spend more time with you, and so on and so forth. But I think having friends that are parents of children in a similar age is massive. And I think that's why so many friendships shift, because I think that's a village you need. Like you can come and help me babysit, you can come and help me like hang out with me when I'm cleaning or folding laundry, and that's super awesome. But I eventually, you don't even have time for your own events because you're running events for your children, or they're driving you crazy, or you don't have anywhere to send them. And so being able to hang out with people that have children similar age to yours, it's like, okay, well, at least you go hang out with a kid and I have some social activity, which I think is also how we started having so much fun, because it was like, oh my God, our kids,
Yeah.
But I think that's a part of the village that you don't realize that you need a lot. And then that's why I think people should coordinate with their friends to have kids at the same time.
Yeah, that's what actually, like every time someone actually asks me about, having kids, I always tell them like, just have a friend and plan when you're going to get pregnant so you can be pregnant together. That's all I recommend people. Like, just do that. Like, you don't need anything else. Just have someone that there's going to do the same thing with you at the same time.
Yeah, honestly.
And then you're golden.
Yeah. Especially the pregnancy, man. The pregnancy, it's such a hard period to go through alone. And even though it's so different, like my sister and I have been both super close on our babies. and they're both girls, and we've had completely different like experiences and pregnancies, birth, everything, like from the personality of the baby to like just everything, right?
Yeah.
But it's just been so nice being able to call someone and just be like, do you remember that pain you had at the eighth month? I'm having it now. Or hey, do you remember like the other day we coordinated to talk, and time to talk came, and she's like, I'm just so tired,
And
and I'm
just
like,
have
ah,
the
say
energy.
no more, say
Please.
no more. I was just there a few months ago. I get it. You're just sick and tired. You
Yeah.
just want to sit there and scroll, like and it's so crazy because with motherhood too, like dude, the first few years, I mean, even now, I think we're both still in that season
Yeah.
with both our
Yeah.
kids, right? There are days when it's just like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, like, as a business partner, we are very flexible on our meetings and, recording of these podcasts, for instance,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
there are weeks that it's just like, it's impossible, like, just to meet, because it's just so exhausting and we are just too tired.
yeah.
And if one of us didn't have the kids, we would not understand. And that's another thing, like, one of the things that made me kind of like stop seeing my friends because I'm the first one that had the kids was because I couldn't handle the fact that when they were telling me they were tired. And I was
Oh.
just thinking, like, I didn't sleep last night. You chose not to sleep. I can't. Like, it's not because, like, I don't want to hate you because obviously, like, you don't have to have the kids. You didn't ask to, like, like, I don't want to be here, but and also don't want to make you feel bad for saying that. But it's just like, I can't have this conversation with you right now because I want to punch you in the face.
Dude,
It's great.
one of the things about parenting that like I don't think enough people, it's not talked about enough, is the fact that you can have like, let's say, a super tiring day, you go and do all these activities and you're like, okay, like let's say a super full weekend, right? And you're Sunday, you're exhausted, but you're like, okay, I'm just gonna watch a show and I'm gonna go to bed. And then you go to bed and then your kid gets sick and you're
Yeah.
up all
Yeah.
night. And then on
Yeah.
Monday
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
meetings. And then if you're a business owner, right? Because if you're showing up to work, you can just call off. But if you're a business owner, sometimes you can't not show up. Like there are
Yeah.
days where like weeks, situations, trips, moments in life where like, shit's going down, but it's like, we can't just not submit this. Or like, there are many,
Yeah.
many moments where we're like, hey, we can't talk this week or whatever, but there's weeks when you're like, hey, I know it's Monday, but can we talk any other day this week? And then because of our time zone difference, it's like, no, I've already booked meetings literally every other day this
Yeah.
week. So it's not until next week. And it's like, and then what do you do? Right. And I think it's so crazy that like people don't you don't think of this unless you have kids, because when you don't have kids you've never experienced
Yeah.
this, but it's
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
can choose to take
Because
a day off.
it's like, yeah, because you think, I think the weird thing is like, to me, for instance, was the looking after someone else, right? Like, even though when you have a husband or you have a partner, whatever, like, you still are still looking after yourself. You're not looking after your husband or whatever. Like, you're not
You can
showering them. You're not
choose to
trying to
look
feed them.
after them. Yeah, you can choose to look
Yeah,
after
you
them
can
and how
choose to, but you
much.
don't have to.
And if
Yeah,
you wake
but
up
you
and you
don't
don't want
have
to do shit
to.
that day, nothing gets done and nothing
You
nothing
don't have.
matters.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
exactly.
when you have a
And that's
kid, you
the
gotta feed them, you
biggest.
gotta bathe them, you
Yeah,
gotta
there's
clean their
no
butt.
way, like, you're sick, whatever you are happening to you, like, there's nobody else there to fix it for you. You have to just fucking get up and do it. And I think that was a big lesson for me in terms of motherhood, because I would be big on, like, I don't want to do it, I don't fucking do it. Like, that's it. Like, I just don't want to do it. But with having a kid, like, it made me more resilient to actually, getting up and getting the thing done and getting up and just doing it and just, accepting that's
Yeah.
what it is. And I'm actually really glad about it because it's like made me very strong, even though that's not the topic of the podcast. Okay, I'm sorry. I am very glad about that. But no, I don't have a village. I am actually quite lucky where I am because I do have, Matt's family. Not that we get to see each other as much as you'd think, because we live 5 minutes from each other. But we do have that option. If we know we need someone to look after Flynn, we can always ask, and we have the person here.
Right.
But like you, we do have, whenever we travel, because now it's mainly, to go see whoever, or if we go somewhere to see someone, there's always people wherever we go, and we always get to see them. And especially because Flynn has now, like, 8 sets of parents, grandparents, sorry, not parents.
Grandparents, yeah.
Like, he has like all of these grandparents everywhere. And so whenever we go, like, you always have someone, but yeah, it's just like periods of time. But I don't know, like I always expected, and people talked about this village and this, it's in the village. Like I think my mom sort of tricked us. Like she made us really
Okay,
think that it was easy. Like she made it look
no,
easy.
I think what happens is that the village, I think what happens is that the definition and the look of the village is evolving and changing with humanity. Like our parents had a much closer village because people were communicating that way. People did not call one another as much. People didn't text one another. They didn't video, they didn't FaceTime. They just, came to your house. They
And they
visited you.
lived all together
Also,
as well.
and
Like
they
they were
lived
on
all
the
together.
same
Exactly.
country, same.
In the same city, if not in the same
Mhm.
neighborhood or the same house,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I said, both my family homes in Cuba were like big homes where everybody had their own space, but all of them lived
Yeah.
together under the same, complex.
Yeah.
So like I just, like woke up, opened the door, crossed, and like right there, it's my cousin
Yeah.
lived there, and my grandmother on the other side, and so I think I think because of the way we live our lives, like even my family that lives in Miami, they see each other a lot more than we do. I mean, I see them like twice a year. I believe they see each other maybe like 4 or 5 times a year. So it's not that much
But
more
still,
than I do
yeah.
for people that live in the same city, that live 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away, 30 minutes away, But I think the village is changing, and I think our perspective of it maybe needs to change as well, and our expectation of it maybe needs to change as well,
Yeah.
because I think it's
Yeah.
really important. Like I try to make an effort on, or I used to do a bigger effort of visiting my friends before I had kids. And I think you just make me think of like, yeah, you can just go and visit friends, and then it's a week or a
I would
weekend,
never do
but
that. I hated
huh?
that. Always hated that. I always hated visiting people.
Visiting people
I'm not the person. Yeah, I'm not the person to do that.
to go
I
and
just went
like,
to Jersey where I have like, half my family and I just
right.
pretended I wasn't there. And then after I left, they messaged, "Oh, were you here?" No, I was there for a night.
Well, no, I feel like, I mean, it just depends, I guess, on who you're visiting. But if it's your friends, no, I love to visit my friends. I just don't like the whole like staying in people's houses, like on the couch situation. Like when we stay in a hotel
Yeah.
and we just like hang out. Like I want to visit, but I don't
No,
want to all
yeah,
be together.
no.
Like I don't want to come and stay in your place because then I feel like I'm bothering people, and it's
Yeah.
like a
I have
lot.
like a certain number of people, like I would do that, like for instance, you or
Yeah,
like my friend in Jersey that I would just went to see, I would go and visit her. Or, in Madeira when I go to see my friend there that just had the baby. But then like that's it. Nobody else. I'll be like, no.
it's a
And so many
lot.
people that like get like actually like get very angry at me because I've gone to Madeira and didn't go to see them. And I'm like, well, you didn't come to see me in France. Like, I don't get it. Like,
Yeah,
sorry. Ugh.
yeah, this is
Like,
true.
no, I know. Also, I haven't like people that I don't speak to for years. And it's like, oh, yeah, you come to here and you haven't seen me. Like, yeah, I also lived in France for, I'm living still in the same place for the last 4 years. You could have come see me.
Yeah,
I don't know, like, but you know
it's
me, I'm an
true.
introvert and have social anxiety. So, just,
No, I
the
think no,
less I did, the better.
I understand that. Like I love that. But I understand that because, it's like it happens to me a lot too, but I think I've been doing it for so long that like I just assume that that's just the norm of it. But now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Everybody's like, oh my God, you haven't come in so long. And I'm like, why do I have to go? It's already been so long that I don't live there. Why don't you come visit me? You know?
Yeah.
Like it's
But
true. Like, and then like also people that don't connect with you, like the village that never messages or never calls, like you never talk to. And then like they're like, oh, you came to Miami, you didn't come see me. But it's like we haven't talked in
yeah, or like,
years.
oh, you never come to show me Flynn. What? I don't have to show Flynn around. He's right here. Come visit. But what are you gonna say? I was gonna say, like you saying the changing of village changes, and it is like I have like feel like my village like now is like the support system I have where I can, I know Flynn is somewhere safe and I can do my work or I can do whatever I have to do, and that will be the school. And before that was his nanny, and like I knew I could count, and I know I can count on that support and that I have
Mm,
Flynn go
mm.
to, so I can get the work done. Obviously, there's things that happen like he's been sick or whatever, but that would have happened regardless of who was looking after him, right?
Right.
So so yeah, so like I think it's now about more using what you have around you available and what you can afford and what you can use to benefit you at the time you have. And that's the, like you were very right, like the definition of village is changing, and we need to like move forward from, you know, being just our families or just, you know, our friends. It's because it's not, it's just like it's whatever support you have at the time wherever you are that is helping you to get
Yeah.
through your day.
Yeah, and you know, you gotta make whatever you have work. Like at the end of the day, you can't just like, you know, you can hold on indefinitely to like what it could be or what you thought it would be. Like you can either recreate it with whatever you've got, you know what I mean? Like get involved in your
Mm-hmm.
community, find some new friends, find support systems, you know, find the help whatever you need it. I'm faulty of that. Like sometimes when I move to a new place, I'm like, oh, it's hard to meet people. And it's like, well, but am I getting out there to meet people? Am I making new friends? Am I making it, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think
People keep asking
sometimes
me that.
yeah,
No,
but I
like
think it's
they ask
because
me like if I've met people, and I'm like, I don't want to meet people. I don't understand why people keep asking me this. Like,
you're like, I'm not here to meet
I don't
anyone.
want to. Yeah, like no, please.
Nah. So, okay, so if you're listening to this and you made it this far, let us know on Instagram at Hula the Moms Out that pod. Comment message us and tell us what your village looks like, or leave it down in the comments. What does your village look like? Is it what you thought it would be? Do you want something differently? You know, I think it's an interesting conversation. I think it's not all bad. I think it's really easy to say, my gosh, it's not working, the village is not there, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that it's just changing. And I think a lot of
Yeah,
it
like
comes from our perspective and our, you know, our expectation of
yeah,
it as
but I feel
well.
like yeah, if you're holding on to like this idea of a village, which is more than fair for you to hold on to, because you know sometimes you do.
It's
Like
what we've
I imagined
known.
a lot different. Yeah, and I imagine it a lot different than what it is. But just know that it is changing, and it's normal that it doesn't look exactly the same as everyone else's, because it makes a lot more sense to not,
But
because
also
we
if
all
they're
live
not
life
getting
different.
and also if they're not getting involved now, they're not gonna get more involved later. So drop
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Don't feel guilty about that. Yeah, don't feel guilty about not getting people involved in your kids' life. If they wanted to be there, they would be there. So,
Yeah. Oh my God.
for those of you who are
Awesome.
listening, I just got fireworks going on the video, so I definitely
Yes.
recommend you guys catching up the YouTube version just for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a great ending. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you and talk to you next week.
Bye.